All right, we'll go ahead and get this meeting started. Welcome everyone to the 1100 Toastmasters Open House. My name is Charles, and I'm going to be your Toastmaster. And today, we're going to have a very exciting meeting. This is one of the most action-packed meetings we're going to have. And I'm very proud to be leading this meeting for us. Today, we have two very special guests in the room. Our area governor, Joe Fazio, and our district governor, Claude Hartman, is in attendance with us. Then also for our meeting, we not only have one member who's going to reach a milestone, we're actually going to have two members reach a milestone. Today, Carol is going to, after she gets done with her project, she's going to earn her silver medal. And once when Linda's done giving her speech, she's going to have completed her Competent Communicator Manual. And that is a very big accomplishment. So once when they are done, please congratulate them. Just to give you a little idea of what we do here in our club is we work on leadership skills and communication skills. We have different manuals that you can work on, and in each manual we have projects. Once when you complete the projects and the manuals, then you are awarded a medal or a certificate. And so today it's going to be very exciting. Also, how we work on leadership skills is we have different roles in our meeting. And for myself, I am the Toastmaster. So my goal or my duty is to lead the meeting and facilitate it. A couple other roles that we have are the grammarian counter and the timer. So right now for our grammarian, it's going to be Michaela. And Michaela, could you come up here and describe it?
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I have the privilege today of having the responsibility of being the grammarian, which means I will be listening for filler words such as you know, and the like. And I will also be looking to see if people use the word of the day. What is the word of the day, you may ask? It's written right up here for you. Flummery, spelled with an L after the F. Flummery. And it means meaningless flattery or silly talk. So example in a sentence would be, all that mechanical flummery obscures the explanation of what the product is. Flummery. Why do we have a word of the day? In order to expand our vocabulary and hopefully use it in our everyday life. Flummery, please use the word of the day. Thank you.
Another role that we have here is the timer, which is going to be handled by Sarisha. Sarisha, could you come up and describe what the timer is?
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and guests today, and our governors. Today I'm going to do a timer role. Basically, we all know how important time is. We only have 24 hours a day, and we try to get our things done as much as possible. And so as a timer today, I'm going to time our speakers and our evaluators. Speakers are given 5 to 7 minutes. Once they reach the 5 minute, I'll show them green card, which means they still have 2 more minutes to go. And once they reach the 6th minute, I'm going to show them the yellow card. And once they reach the 7th minute, I'm going to show them the red one here. And you might be listening like little beeping sound, which means I will be timing them with my timer. And the second half is our evaluators, evaluating the speakers. And they do have the timer too. They have 2 to 3 minutes. Again, it goes, when they reach the 2nd minute, I'll show them the green one. And they reach 2.5, then I'll show them the orange. And 3, it's red. Just finish off and come and sit your desk. And we also have today, if possible, time always dictates what we can do in the meetings. We have table topics masters, and that's a spontaneous speaking. We have 1 to 2 minutes. And if they reach 1 minute, I'll signal green, 1.5, yellow, and 2, red. That's the timer role, my role today. Back to the Toastmaster.
Okay, So I was mentioning, Carol will be working on her silver medal today, and she's going to lead a discussion panel. Carol has been a member of Toastmasters since 2004, and each time you reach a milestone, it is always a big accomplishment, and we like to celebrate it. So would you please welcome Carol?
Toastmaster. Welcome to Toastmaster members and honored guests. It's really a pleasure to be here. And we have a really, really great group. I'm so excited. Now I have to confess that I have not been here as much in the last several months as I really would desire to be due to a project that has taken me away. But I'm curious, since I haven't been here for a couple of months, how many of you are brand new for the first time just checking this out because of the open house? Raise your hand. A lot of you, that's excellent. Now how many of you have started coming in the last couple of months, so this isn't your first time today? And you don't know me. Okay, so everybody else is either you know me or you're visiting, so that's exciting. Have you ever noticed just in your daily lives and at work that the people who communicate the best tend to get the best results? You ever notice that? The people that, maybe there are some people that have really great ideas, but they have such a hard time sharing them that they don't see anything getting done? That's true everywhere. The best leaders are those who communicate the best. They have the best skills, and their teams exceed expectations most of the time. They tend to move into leadership roles faster than people who can't express themselves, and their teams do well. Toastmasters International is the world's premier organization in getting people ready to communicate well. We have members in 13,000 clubs across 116 countries across the globe. And how many know how many members we have roughly? What's the number? I know you guys probably know. 270,000 people are currently working on building their skills. A number of us here work at Nationwide, and I know that there are a few of us who do not. But for those of us who are here, we actually have a formal program that encourages us to work on our professional development. That comes in a variety of ways, whether you work in the technical fields, if you're in IT or insurance, or in the learning and performance area like I am. We're all encouraged to develop ourselves. And even if you don't work for Nationwide, I'm guessing that you have companies that encourage you to develop yourselves, or if you work for yourself, that you're looking for ways to be better at what you do. Toastmasters can help with that. As you know, you looking for Toastmasters? Come on in. As you may know, we have a number of different opportunities within the meeting, and Charles shared the roles that are available to you, and we have a few more that you might not see today because of our format. But all of them are opportunities to help you develop as a speaker and as a leader. Some people join Toastmasters just to work on a habit or develop a skill. You might have somebody who tends to ramble on. You might have someone who says or every fifth word. Have you ever noticed that once you become aware of it, if you join Toastmasters, you're going to start listening to people, and you're going to hear and you can't get away from it. I actually heard a speaker once where I was making tick marks, and I just had to stop because it was distracting. So you're gonna have those things, but you also have people who are in it for the long haul. I joined in 2004. I have done speeches that run the gamut from humorous speeches, storytelling, to technical, which is out of the manual that I'm working on today. The Toastmasters organization I credit with helping me get the job that I'm in today, and the team that I call home, as a result of my practice with spontaneous speaking. I actually had an interview, and the interview was on a Wednesday, and they said, can you come in tomorrow and give a 10-minute presentation? Before Toastmasters, absolutely not. After Toastmasters, I had just done a speech that was perfectly acceptable, and here I am today. It also prepared me to give a speech in 2008 to 1,600 insurance professionals. It helped me prepare for and survive that speech. And it was really a survival mode. Today I'm excited to share with you 3 speakers who are going to talk to us about the topic of professional development. David Haller is an honored guest that we have with us. He is not a member of this club yet, correct? But hopefully one of these days. And he's going to talk about professional development with a lean toward Toastmasters. Also, we have Melinda Ellinger, who's going to be sharing her 10th speech with us, as Charles mentioned, and she's going to talk about what Toastmasters has meant to her. And then Deb Miller, who has been with our club since 2004. She's a charter member, and she's going to share with us about what Toastmasters can do for you. To give you a little bit more information about David, he joined Nationwide in January of 2009 as a supervisor in our personal line service department. Prior to Nationwide, he managed teams in a various number of financial institutions. He's done that for 9 years. And most recently, he was with ING for 7 years. He was with the mutual fund company in Arizona and with the variable annuities area here in Des Moines. He went to Arizona State University and received 3 degrees, the Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, Bachelor of Science in Finance, and his Master in Business Administration. He's been married for 17 years, has 2 boys, ages 13 and 16, and I'm very excited to welcome Dave Howard.
That's one. I'll try to use flummery here sense as well. Thank you very much for having me today. I really appreciate it. Charles is one of the people who reached out to me. He used to be on my team. I believe it was a couple years ago. So thank you very much for having me today. What I'm here to talk about is development. And again, you mentioned it at Nationwide and at most companies. One of the key things that we try to make or to have our associates do is to be consistently developing. Well, what does that mean? From my point, from what I'm going to talk about today, when I talk about development, really I'm talking about outside of the core job requirements. So it's not necessarily getting better at your core job requirements or the technical aspects of your job. It's becoming more. And when I say more, it's more anything. It could be a better speaker. It could be a better leader. It could be more educated. Whatever it might be, development, in the sense that I'm going to talk about it today, is pushing yourself farther than you are currently in your life. So big question, who's responsible for your development? Again, here at Nationwide, your supervisor, your manager, whoever your leader might be, is going to, quote unquote, force you to fill out that development plan, fill out 2 to 3 things we're going to work on all year. And that's great, and that's very well and good. But really at the heart of it, and I have this conversation with the associates that work for me, who's in charge of your development? Is it your leader? Is it your company? No, it's you. This is your development, keyword your. It's also your career that you're trying to build. And so one of the common things I'm going to talk about here is you're in charge of your development. It's very important for you to be seeking opportunities. It's very important for you to be talking to your leader, your supervisor, manager, whoever it might be, so that they understand what your goals are, so that they can help you and you can leverage them in your development. Along the lines of personal development, Nationwide has a lot of tools available. So for those of you that work here at Nationwide, we have the inside webpage. There are a lot of things you can do there. We have iDrive courses with a whole variety of different learning topics that you can use as well. One of the biggest tools you have is your leader. A lot of the opportunities that you get for development in a company like this are going to come through your leader. Leverage them. Get to know them, talk to them about what you want to do, how you want to grow. Again, I can get back to, I joined here, and actually I think it was 2008, it was about 2.5 years ago. And about 3 or 4 months after I'd been leading a team, I got a new associate from a different team. And just through the process of getting to know that person, trying to find out what that person wanted to do, what his goals were, what he wanted to accomplish. And having those discussions, I learned that he wanted to learn to do a better job speaking. He wanted to try to branch out and become more of a leader. Well, that's great for me to know about my folks. It was great that he was able to share that with me during our one-on-ones and things like that. So happens I'm over here taking a class, a supervisor class. I can't even remember what the title was. But as we're going through and we're introducing ourselves and we're talking about what we do, one of the people in this class talked about Toastmasters. And I'm thinking to myself, I didn't know Toastmasters was here. This is perfect. Charles, who was on my team at the time, had talked about trying to get better at speaking and leadership. And because we'd had that conversation, because he had leveraged me and spoken with me, I was on the lookout for things like that. First thing I did when I came back from that training class, I walked up to Charles and I said, hey, have you heard of Toastmasters? and the rest is history, right? So it's very important to leverage the people around you, whether it's your peers, whether it's your leaders, direct leader or indirect. Because if people understand who you are and where you're trying to go, they tend to keep an eye out for you, kind of like I did for Charles. If we wouldn't have had those conversations, I would have met that person and would have talked about Toastmasters. Oh, that's great. And that would have been the end of it. But because we'd had the conversation, because he leveraged me as his leader, I was able to find an opportunity for him. Again, that gets back to him driving his own career and sharing with me what he needed or what he wanted in order to be more successful here at work. The key here is, while you want to involve your leaders, don't rely on them. One of the things, it's at least two, one of the things that we talk about when we do our development plans here, a lot of times people say, well, I want to be a coach, I want to be I want to be a subject matter expert, I want to teach a class. Those are all great goals if we can provide them to you. I come from a contact center, so a lot of what we do and what we're able to do is based on call volumes. And so my answer, if somebody puts that for all of their development, great. What happens if we're so busy this year that we don't have time to give you any of that? What will you have done to develop yourself? And if the answer is nothing, rework your development plan. It's very important that you find things or that you set goals that you can accomplish outside of quote-unquote being allowed to do those in your current job. Again, you don't necessarily want to exclude those internal opportunities, but you don't want to over-rely on them. What are some of the things that you can do? Education, outside, you can go to school, you can read books. You can also do things like Toastmasters. For any of you that are considering trying to get ahead at the company, trying to grow and learn, Toastmasters is a wonderful opportunity. One of the great things about Toastmasters, we're going to do it every time. They talked about it earlier. There's an opportunity to get up here and speak or to stand up at your table and speak almost every single meeting. And for a lot of people, that's a scary proposition. But again, the best way to become proficient at it is to do it. And this is a great, safe environment to grow and to learn. In addition to that, there are a lot of leadership opportunities that some of them were mentioned earlier today. So for those of you who are new and thinking about it, I would strongly encourage you to consider making Toastmasters part of your personal development plan. Thank you very much.
All right, excellent. Next, I would like to introduce to you Melinda Ellinger. She has been with our club since July of 2010. She is a freelance litigation attorney specializing in all aspects of trial preparation. So when you see Law and Order and you see him talking to doing all of this legwork, that's that's right. And she gets all the airtime too. She previously served as an associate with Roxanne Conlon and Associates PC. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Communication Studies from Northwestern University and graduated with honors from Drake University Law School. She, as I mentioned, joined in July 2010. Today is her 10th speech in the Competent Communicator Manual, which gives her her first official badge. We all have matching badges today, but we actually have a pretty little magnetic badge that she'll get to wear that signifies her accomplishment. If you would, please help me welcome and congratulate Melinda Ellinger.
Thank you. This is a nice big audience today. I'll have to work on projecting my voice so you all can hear me. As Carol said, my name is Melinda Ellinger, and I have been a member of the Toastmasters 1100 group since July of 2010, a little over a year. I am probably one of the only outsiders in the group. I am not an employee of Nationwide, and when I was first looking for a Toastmasters group to join, I kind of wondered how that would be. But I was really pleasantly surprised to find what an open and welcoming group this really has been. They have been nothing but helpful and supportive along this whole Toastmasters journey that I have embarked upon. They set terrific examples. We have some really good speakers in our club, and we also have people like me that are just kind of starting out with public speaking skills and speaking to larger groups. So it's a nice balance. They are good listeners, they're good evaluators, they're good teachers in terms of listening to your speech and being able to give you really positive feedback. And they're really good friends. I really look forward every week to being able to come down and have some Toastmaster time over my noon hour on Tuesdays. And it's a nice thing to look forward to, and I never thought I would say I would look forward to coming somewhere where I was going to have to be put on the spot to speak. So that says a lot. And as David said, it's practice in a safe environment. And I can't say enough about how valuable that really is, because this is, and I know this is something that most of us identify with, it's something that can be really scary. And if you have a place where people are encouraging you and it's okay to feel like you can mix it up, mess it up, not do it exactly right, then that's really, it's invaluable. I was asked to talk just for a few minutes today about what Toastmasters has done for me and how it has positively affected me. And with just a little bit of extra background, I am a trial lawyer that loathes public speaking. I know that's hard to believe, but yeah, it's true. The group was really entertained to learn that when I first joined. And I primarily do research and writing in my profession, so it is not as fatal to my profession as you might think in terms of being nervous about public speaking. I do legal research, I do brief writing, which are the legal arguments that are presented to the court or to the judges on any given issue. And so that is the primary way that I communicate in my profession. So I have been largely able to kind of avoid these public speaking sorts of situations. I do have to do it occasionally. I don't love it, and if I see it on the calendar, I really dread it for days leading up to it. And really through the years, it has not gotten better, if it had not. And I felt like I needed to reach out and do something in terms of a little self-help and seeing what Toastmasters could offer me. It really comes down, for me, I think, to an issue of self-confidence. I could be standing before you and have your eyes on me and not be saying a word, sitting at the table, for example, and my anxiety level just starts to ratchet up. It's just something that I have to get over and have to deal with and have to practice. So I am still a work in progress in terms of getting through that. When you're a speaker, it's different communicating with an audience as opposed to having a one-on-one conversation. That easy flow back and forth isn't there. I don't have time to stop and listen to you and kind of formulate what I'm going to say next. I'm responsible for filling up the silence. And that really unhinged me for a long time. It made me anxious not to have the feedback from the other person talking to me. Well, I'm learning to, again, look at the audience as a group of individuals rather than just one big group that's expecting me to fill up all of the silence. And so that has helped me to be able to understand that it is a communication we're having. I can tell by your body language, I can tell by your facial expression, I can tell by our eye contact that you are giving me feedback. And so I need to just, again, have practice and know that this is just a different kind of format, a different way to communicate, and this is the place where I am able to practice and do that. So the biggest benefit to me, Toastmasters-wise, has been the self-confidence boost, not only professionally, but also in small groups. I've been a board member on committees for charitable events. I'm much more likely now to speak up and to offer my opinion and to not be so anxious about it and to do it in a way that's articulate and so people can focus on what I'm saying instead of on shortcomings I may have in presenting. So that has been an extra bonus. And another extra bonus, I think, and a surprise to me was, I'm a small business owner now. I have been for a couple of years. I am a litigation preparation specialist, and I do hourly contract work for other lawyers and law firms that are preparing for trial. So I am building a business from the ground up. I have to cultivate clients. I need to be able to get out there and meet people, and to network, and to communicate, and to be the first one that can walk up to a stranger and introduce myself and explain what I do in 15 or 30 seconds, hopefully in a way that's impressive. So I've gotten better at that in this past year, and I really believe it's because of living through 9 of these speeches. I now feel that I have more confidence in my skills as a communicator, just as a whole. Toastmasters really is more than just learning to be a fear-free speaker or a better speaker. You're learning how to be a good listener. You're learning how to be a critical thinker. You're working on your leadership skills. And this is a great opportunity to do that and to advance yourself professionally, as well as just feel better about yourself. So I would encourage and I would challenge you to join us. I've realized that effective public speakers, for the most part, are made and not born. And this is where they're made. Thank you. Very nice, very nicely done.
All right, with that, I would like to tell you a little bit about Deb Miller. She is our current president of 1100 Toastmasters. She's an IT specialist in QA and testing here at Nationwide, and she's been here since 2002. She's a charter member of our club. We actually formed in 2004, and I joined a couple months after the first few meetings and before the charter party. So I wasn't actually able to sign the document, but I was here in spirit. Debbie holds her communicator gold designation, which is recent. You just finished that up, as I recall. And during her time here has served as Sergeant at Arms, which is the person responsible for making sure that we have the rooms and having all of the logistics handled for the meeting. Has done a fabulous job with that. And as president, she has continued our tradition of being a distinguished club with Toastmasters. And you'll have to talk to her sometime about the history of our club, because at one point we were in serious danger of folding because of lack of participation. And we worked through that. And she has also done a couple of fun things through this organization. She conducted a speech craft, which is an opportunity for non-Toastmaster members to practice and build public speaking skills outside of the club. And actually they did that at a women's prison. She did that with Brigham Hoy, who is one of our members, who is not with us today. And that was very well received. And she also did that with Pam Prince, who's sitting here at the front table in purple. You'll have to talk to her about that later, because that was a great experience. And she is currently working on the Toastmasters leadership track. Please help me welcome Deb Miller.
Flexible. So I had brought handouts that I had hoped would be picked up. So you roll with it, and hopefully, I had planned for 30. I don't want to have you guys number and count off, but oh my gosh, this is wonderful. What I would like to do at this moment is talk to you about the Toastmasters program. We're going through a rebranding at the moment, and a new phrase that they're using, we're told it's not a slogan, well, it's a phrase that we're going to start using a lot, and it's where leaders are made. As we've already heard, leaders aren't born. Bossy people are born, maybe, but leaders aren't. And to learn leadership skills, it is 2 parts. So if you would flip to the diagram in the handout, I'm going to talk to you about the educational program that is made up at Toastmasters of 2 parts. The first part is the communication part, because as a leader, you need to communicate. And one of the things that I want to point out to you is that this leadership program is made up, first of all, of 10 projects. So you get a manual when you join, and in that manual are 10 projects. And the first one is called the icebreaker, and the whole idea is to get up and not die. Okay? You live through it. The second one is on organization. There's ones on word choices. There's another one on gestures. There's another one on research. And after those 10 projects, you'll know how to do basic speaking. Well, this year, and I hadn't realized you were so close, we have 4 people who have achieved their competent communicator. Would you please stand? Let's give them a big round of applause. One of the things that's exciting about this club is that we think of this as the high point of the week, or at least I do. And I've told this club many, many times, you guys are my friends, and I come here to socialize and to learn. And it's a safe environment. When I first came, there were 30 people in a room like this. I didn't know a single person because they all came from claims, and I was from IT. But however, I like to talk. And as a matter of fact, I was told, because I like to talk, that Sarisha was going to hold up the red card right off the bat. So they told me I had 1 to 3 minutes, which means hopefully I've got maybe 6, but I can stretch it a little bit. Nope. But I'm really, really excited about Toastmasters, and have been. It was exciting to go through that first book and to get my competent communicator. Now at this club, you get a badge when you reach a competent communicator. Not all clubs do that, it's just a little perk that we like to do. And then you start into the advanced books. You can do storytelling. You can do leading group discussions. You can do technical speaking. It'll teach you how to write a proposal. It will, oh my gosh, there's just so many fun things and books that you can go into. There are 15 manuals in the advanced speaker. Carol today is getting her silver. Before silver, there's bronze. We've got a person who's working on their bronze. We then reach gold, and that's what I have finally reached. Part of that also is doing other leadership activities, and that's the leadership track I'd like to talk to you about. Because to be a leader, are you born a leader, as I said before? Not necessarily. You need to learn those skills. You need to learn time management. You need to learn listening skills. And guess what? We have another manual when you join that has got 10 projects in it. The first one's on listening. Well, that was a hard one for me. Then there's time management, then there's mentoring, then there's critical thinking, and you learn basic leadership skills. And then when you get the competent leader, you move on to the advanced leader. And the advanced leader, you learn things like vision and goal setting, and as a officer of the club, and you don't have to be even a competent communicator to be an officer. You start learning those leadership skills. Like you get to be, we rotate the Toastmaster position every time. You get to lead a meeting. Well, what happens when the meeting starts falling apart? Well, you learn to keep, first time it happens, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. And then you find out people come forward and help you out. And then the next time, and then there's the next time. And pretty soon it's like, oh, everybody bailed? I'll speak. You know, that's me. But anyway, so you learn to flow and to go with and roll with it. And those leadership skills that come through the leadership program, like the speechcraft that we did out at the prison, to go out there, that's part of the leadership program. You learn so much about leadership through Toastmasters and through being the different meeting roles and being an officer. And I would like to encourage everyone to sign up. You'll notice that I think it's the second to last page are other people who have been Toastmasters, like Leonard Nimoy. Oh my gosh, we're in the same group with him. So, and then also the last page is the cost. I have paid that time and time again. When you first see it, you might see some sticker shock. But if you're going to Drake University, or if you've been to college, how much does college cost an hour? If you've been to seminars like I have, how much did your company pay to fly you there, go to the seminar, and pay your hotel bill? And then time away from your desk and all that kind of stuff? This is the most cost-effective and cheapest leadership program there is. And you know what? It works.
Debbie, that was great. Now that you've heard from all 3 of our speakers, I want to give you just a couple of minutes to ask any questions that you might have of any of our speakers. They're all aware that this is the part where they get to answer questions. And I ask that if you do have a question, that you stand and let us, or get my attention, let me know that you would like to ask a question, and let us know who the question will be directed to so they know who is going to answer. So who would like to start us off? Yes?
I have a question for Deb.
Okay.
The 2 tracks for new members go down the communicator versus the leader path. Are they, do you do them parallel? Can you do them parallel?
You can do what I did, which is I did them separately, but I would not recommend that. I was focused mostly, well, I'm old. I was before the leadership program. Can I confess to that? So when I was like, I think a silver or maybe a bronze when the leadership program came out, and so I'm playing catch up. But I would recommend doing both. One of the things is every meeting you get a chance to be like a timer, you learn time management. You get to be an evaluator, that's in your competent leader book, that would be listening skills. Every role you have in this club, you can fill out a competent leader project during that meeting. And so we recommend that our members bring their competent leader manuals with them every time, because you may show up and the thing you need to be is an evaluator, but you're not scheduled to be an evaluator. Remember I told you about that flexibility with a Toastmaster? They say, hey, Deb, can you be an evaluator? You go, yes, I got my book with me. And then you can go ahead and fill out that leadership project. So thank you for the question. Thank you.
All right. Yes?
I'll just jump right up. So we are given some advice to begin with mentoring. I guess it's for anybody. Is there someone, a special mentor or just a big group?
I can go ahead and answer that one.
Okay.
We actually do have individuals who agree to be mentors. And Melinda, I was Melinda's mentor when she first got started. And we help you through your first couple of speeches. We give you pointers. The first time you have a role like Toastmaster or Timer or Grammarian, we help you with resources for that and give you that little boost of confidence that you need. And it's Melinda has really taken that off from that initial relationship and has certainly developed as a speaker. She's definitely more comfortable, I can tell, than when she got started. She's not lying. She was very nervous when she first came to us. And a number of people have had that experience as well. So we will pair you with someone one-on-one. I think we have time for one more and then we need to stop. Yes?
So what days are your meetings? And is it here at the 1100 building?
Yep. It's always here on Tuesdays from 12 to 1. And it's almost always in this room. Occasionally, because of training some needs, they might have to move us, but we usually get plenty of notice. And we send those out weekly. We get a weekly calendar invite, which is great, to make sure you have it on your calendar. All right, thank you. And we are going to be around after we finish the official portion of the meeting if you have additional questions. And with that, I would like to wrap up my portion of the meeting. And I want to thank all of our panelists for sharing with us. Those are all very heartfelt conversations that they have with us, and I appreciate that. We have a number of resources to help you be a better speaker and a better leader. And I would encourage you to check out Toastmasters, but not just Toastmasters, anything that you can do to develop yourself professionally. I'd like you to take what you heard today and apply it to yourself. Do something with it, and you'll be glad you did. And I forgot to say
Right, thank you for that. And normally around this time, we have a session called Table Topics. Unfortunately, due to our time, we're not going to be able to do Table Topics, but I'll go ahead and explain what Table Topics is, just to give you an idea. Our Table Topics is ran by the Table Topics Master, who this week was supposed to be Matt Hayar. And what Matt does is he comes up with a list of subjects for you to talk about. You won't know what that subject is, but he'll call on you during the meeting to tell you, give you a scenario or a question, or he might actually have you pull out an object from a grab bag, and you have to talk about that object. And the point of this exercise is to be able to talk for 1 to 2 minutes straight and help with impromptu speeches. What I found helps out with this a lot is, or one great scenario is interviews. When you go in for an interview for a job, you won't know what that interviewer is going to ask you So I know before I always got nervous and I stumbled on my answers. But by practicing this each week, I became comfortable at being able to answer any question. So that's what we do with the table topics. At this time, also with our table topics, after we get done giving our impromptu speeches, we'll vote on who gave the best impromptu speech, and then we'll tally up the votes, and we actually win this awesome little guy right there that Matt has. And you get to keep that. And not only do you win that little trophy for a week, but you are the next Table Topics Master for the following week. And that's how Matt was supposed to be the Table Topics Master. I won't be calling up for the table as the Table Topics Master, but I'm actually going to call him up as the General Evaluator. So Matt, could you come up here, please?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster Charles, today. You actually kind of took the words right out of my mouth, as they say. I was going to highlight kind of what the Table Topics Master's role is, and Charles covered it already. And in the interest of time, I think we'll move right on to our evaluations, beginning with Jovi, who will be evaluating Carol. Jovi?
I get the pleasure of actually evaluating Carol here, and I think that Carol did an awesome job. I think he kept everything moving appropriately. My favorite part about it is the knowledge of each individual person that would be speaking and giving us insight as far as their background, where they came from, and everything of that nature itself. Also, during the Q&A portion, kind of keeping things moving, being aware of the time as well. To help out the Toastmaster itself. So I believe the topic itself was definitely highly relevant. I mean, we're Toastmasters, we're here for that very reason. So it played well to the audience itself. It's also very important in our professional development. I agree with you on that point itself. Also in today's job market, it's very important. So it high relevance in that category itself. I believe all the speakers were actually very well prepared. Everything moved along quite well. The presentation was very well coordinated, moved from one speaker to the next in progression of Toastmasters, it seemed like. And no part really overlapped for me, at least. From what I could tell with David actually talking about the development, why you should actually have an interest in Toastmasters personally, and then moving to Melinda, who actually gives her experience, her ideas of how it affected her, and then finally ending with Deb with what it all means, wrapping it all up into a nice package is what I felt. So excellent speakers across the board. Now, as far as what could possibly be tweaked a little bit, I felt that maybe giving a little bit of insight on what they were going to speak about would have kind of prefaced the audience to what they could actually expect. Because each individual kind of went into it, and then you gained an idea of what they're actually going to speak about a minute or so into what they're actually speaking about. With having a panel discussion, it's good to break it down into sections so that the audience is aware of how the flow is actually going to move rather than them kind of developing that on their own. And overall, I think it's great. The other note that I had is the visual aids that Deb, I should say, went ahead and handed out. We'll probably get those out a little bit sooner or make it advisable, hey, pick these up as you come through, because I didn't actually pick it up either. That was my fault as well. And so overall, great job. Hopefully I didn't use any flummery as far as giving my evaluation, but good job overall, and congratulations on completing your task.
Thank you, sir. Never want to forget to shake Joey's hand. So you have to do that. It's one prerequisite for joining the Toastmasters. All right, next up we have Tony Hannes, who will be evaluating Melinda today.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I'm glad we have a ton of people here today. Melinda, fantastic, fantastic. I had trouble finding stuff I didn't like about it. And to give everybody a background, she's confessed in previous speeches that she used to get so nervous for Toastmasters that she couldn't eat anything all day until after. So you've come a long way, long way. And this speech definitely showed how you're confident, and that's a big one. I was very, 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 very surprised at how little notes you used. I still have trouble with that one. Basically, no notes. That's fantastic. I like the way you introduced it with a little humor to break the ice with the audience, especially today since you don't know a lot of the people here. I really liked how you translated the legalese into English so that you could put us in your shoes without us being an audience of lawyers and give us an idea of how Toastmasters has really helped in your career. I liked your gestures, and they just worked. And I had made a note on a specific one, but anyway, it just worked. The eye contact with the audience was great. I could totally see her sitting for a second or two on each different side of the audience, and that is very hard to do, especially where you're trying to keep track of where you are in your speech. And this was her 10th speech, which is supposed to culminate the company communicator, and it's supposed to inspire the audience, and she definitely just hit it out of the park. It was very inspirational, and I'm sure the guests would agree as we see them all joining. I'm sure it was largely thanks to you. The only thing that I can think of that you could improve is you walked out of view of the camera, but that was my fault. We don't usually have a camera, so that was my fault setting it up. I wasn't counting on her going beyond here. So good use of the space. I really have no complaints. We do have these little ribbons that we give out once you do a speech, for every speech that you do, and most of us keep them on our cubicle. They look really nice, so come on over, I'll give you your 10th.
All right, next up we have Sarah, who will be evaluating that. Sarah.
Thank you, Toastmasters and guests, for joining us today. I always enjoy listening to Deb speak. For those of you who are just visiting with us today, Deb is kind of the gold standard for what we strive to achieve here in Toastmasters. She's always very well prepared. She does a great job of using her space and walking out along the podium. Does great with eye contact, and she did all of those things very well today. She's actually working out of one of our advanced communication manuals on informative speaking. So in our manual, they have several points that we're supposed to look for. A couple of the things that I was supposed to be looking for while listening to Deb's speech were, did she do a good job of directing it towards the background and interest of the audience? Did she use methods to support her points? If she handed out visual aids, did they enhance our understanding? And was she knowledgeable about the subject? And I think that, Deb, you did a great job. Obviously, for our open house and our guests, you did a wonderful job of explaining the different tracks that Toastmasters has available and how they can benefit you as a person and as an employee of Nationwide. I think that you did a wonderful job of hitting on the different skills that our books and manuals highlight, which are very applicable to pretty much any job or any area of your life. Even, I think, for people with kids, it's helpful for them to, know about how to manage time, how to manage their kids' time, and how to communicate with their kids. So, very good for that. The handout that you had was very good. It's great information for our guests to walk away with, and if they ever have questions, gives them a resource to look at in the future. And your speech was definitely well researched, and I think the one thing that I think you maybe could have done better is highlighting a couple of examples. I know that you talked about leading a Toastmasters meeting as the Toastmaster, and maybe giving a few more examples of how that has impacted you. I know, for example, I was Toastmaster on a day that it was a lot of snow. I think we had a late start that day, so I was sitting there emailing everyone going, if I don't hear back from you, I'm going to assume you're not in the office today. So maybe little personal stories like that would have helped a little bit. The one other point that I had was maybe when you asked us to open our handouts, you didn't know which page the chart was on. If you would have known that, it may have helped us find those a little bit better. But other than that, Deb, as always, a wonderful speech. Thank you for sharing with us. And I will turn things back over to Matt.
Sarah is also pulling double duty today, as she was primarily responsible for organizing the open house. So we appreciate that, along with Shreesha. So thank you very much for that. Next up, I will call on Shreesha to give our timers report.
We had a great meeting today, and all the speakers and evaluators have in the time, as I explained in the rules, how am I going to signal it. And I'm going to say the name and the time your speech really is. David, 7.03. Usually I ask like 5 to 7. You can go with 3 seconds. I'm not going to go for it. Melinda, 7:08. And guess who are in time? Deb. 6 minutes and 45 seconds. Wow. That's a great improvement. Usually it goes under 15 minutes, but we have 6 minutes and 45. That's a great achievement. Good job there. And evaluators did a wonderful job giving their feedback, and this is very helpful for us to go the next step. There's various ways you can say, sometimes as a new beginner, we'll just give you a little bit of hintings, but as you progress, they could be very honest with you. And that's what we saw today, not keep gloves. It came off, and they gave really very good evaluations today. Tony, 2.14 for Sarah. No, sorry, excuse me, for Melinda. And Sarah for Deb, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Joey for David, 2 minutes and 32 seconds. Great job. Good job, guys. Back to the Toastmasters.
All right, next on the agenda we have Michaela, who will be providing the grammarians report.
Great. Normally we can see a lot of ah and ums sometimes in our group, but today we kind of struggled with stuttering a little bit, so I tried to keep note of both. For Tony, we had 3 ums and then 14 instances of little stutters. Carol, we had 7 instances of stutters. Charles, 10 ums. Deb, 1 stutter. Joby, 2 ums. Melinda, 9 ums and a couple of stutters. Sarah, 4 ums. And David, we had 4 ums and a few stutters, and as well we had 1 person use the word of the day, which was Joby, and Carol, I gave her half a point for using the word of the day. Very good, thank you.
All right, as far as wrapping up the entire meeting, actually that's the Toastmasters' job, but I do want to echo Joby's sentiments. I think it was a very well-run meeting. Carol did a superb job keeping things moving, answering questions when needed, just keeping the flow going. And with that, I think I'll turn it back over to Charles.
So that was our meeting. Normally it's a little bit different, but that's how we would go about the whole meeting there. And I would like to thank everybody for making it out here. And if you like, we could, we have some snacks in the back, and we have some manuals and some applications. If you guys would like to look at our different type of manuals that we have, they're on the back table there. And also, we had a little sheet. I'm not sure if anybody picked up, but normally we had this sheet where everybody would grab one, and then they would just write little comments about the speakers, and we would give these little sheets to the speakers here as well. And so this is our meeting, and I hope you guys had a lot of fun. We meet here on every Tuesday from 12 to 1, and I hope to see you guys back. Thank you for coming.